Here's a little astrophysics problem for you. I made this for my test, and I thought I'd go over the solution. And I just made it up, and it turned out to be kind of fun. So let me tell you the problem, and then I'm going to solve it from scratch, and then I'm going to model it in Python, because you know that's what I do. So the problem is that we have this Earth, but it's not the Earth, because it has a uniform density, which the Earth doesn't have. And we build a tunnel inside of the Earth that orbits interior at r/2. So it's mass r, radius r, mass m, and so we're going to orbit inside the Earth. So we already did the one where we tunneled through the Earth. So this is a tunnel, but it just circles the Earth. And we want to find out how fast you'd have to go in order to orbit inside the Earth. It's going to be fun. Okay, so you can think about the normal orbit. If I have an object orbiting right here, moving in a circle, it's going to have some magnitude of velocity v. There's going to be some force, I'll call that Fg, pointing that way. And so that's the only force acting on it. The acceleration's always pointed towards the center of the circle. So Fg is going to be equal to mv squared over r, where that's the radius of the orbit. And we did that for normal orbits too, where here we used the gravitational force. Now, in this situation, we can go ahead and write the gravitational force as mg. Now that, and this is the scalar version, that is the gravitational field. That's not necessarily 9.8, right? That's only on the surface of the Earth. If we're inside the Earth, we have to find a new value for the gravitational field. And I've done this before, gonna do it again. Okay, so how do we find the gravitational field on the inside of the Earth? That's the key. So what we can use here is Gauss's law for gravity. This says that the flux of the gravitational field g dot n hat dA over some closed surface is equal to negative 4 pi g mn. So this is the gravitational field vector. That's a unit vector perpendicular to the surface. You can pick any surface you want. Any surface you want. And that's the area element. So this is a closed surface area element integral, area integral. And then we have negative 4 pi. That's the universal gravitational constant. And m is the total mass inside of that closed surface. Now, if we are smart, and we are, then we can pick a surface. So I'm going to redraw my Earth right there. I'm going to pick a spherical surface for this surface area integral. Why would I do that? Because if I do that, then I know I can assume something about the magnitude and direction of this field. I don't know the magnitude of the field, but I can say that the gravitational field has the same magnitude over the surface. Why would I say that? Well, if the mass is uniformly distributed, then we would expect the gravitational field magnitude would be spherically symmetric too. So as I move further away, I should have the same magnitude. On top of that, I'm going to say it's pointing towards the center of the circle, also because of symmetry reasons. So we kind of starting off on third base, right? We're starting off knowing the direction of the gravitational field and knowing that the magnitude only depends on r. If you don't do that, it's pretty much impossible. But if I pick this sphere of radius r, then I can calculate that value. So there's g, right? Those are my g vectors, and n hat is this way, right? It's always perpendicular to the surface, and you'll notice that g dot n hat is negative g, the magnitude. So I can write this as, and g is constant. So I can actually do g dot n hat, that those are both vectors, I get negative g, the magnitude, I can pull that out front. So negative g times the closed surface area integral of dA is negative 4 pi g mn. The negatives cancel. So now I have the area integral over the surface area of a sphere. It doesn't even depend on g. So I can just integrate it, but I don't have to. It's a sphere. I know the surface area of a sphere. So I get g times 4 pi little r squared, right? Because that's the area, that's the radius of my sphere. It's 4 pi g mn. 4 pi's cancel. Now I just have to do one more thing, and that's find this mass. So the mass inside of the sphere is all that matters. Yes, all of this stuff actually does contribute to the gravitational field, but it turns out that it cancels. So we don't have to worry about that. We only have to worry about that mass. So what's the mass inside of the sphere? Well, I can say that the mass inside of the sphere is divided by its volume is the same as the mass divided by a sphere for the whole thing, because uniform density. So because it has uniform density, Mn over this volume, the volume of a sphere, is 4/3 pi little r cubed, is the total mass over 4/3 pi big R cubed. So I can solve this for Mn, 4/3 pi, 4/3 pi cancel. Mn is going to be equal to this times r cubed. So now let's put it all together. I kind of had my spacing wrong here, but I'll jump around because that's what I do. So I have g r squared equals g, and then I have to put Mn, which is m r cubed over r cubed. Cancel, cancel. So g is a function of r. The magnitude is g, mass of the Earth, times r over r cubed. So that's my gravitational field on the inside of the Earth. Notice two important things. Number one, as r goes to 0 at the center of the Earth, g goes to 0. As r goes to big R at the surface, then I have r over r cubed, capital R over r cubed, which is gm over r squared, which is the gravitational field due to a point mass. So that's it. And I did that before, right? And we made a numerical model for this too, which I'm going to use, but I'm not going to rebuild. Okay, so now we want to put our object in the interior of the Earth. So let's put this gravitational field up here because we're going to need that. G of r is g m r over r cubed. Inside the Earth, we're right here. So I'm going to just draw my circular orbit, and I have fg and v. That's a g. And this is a radius r. Actually, this is a radius of r over 2. So the first thing I can do is calculate fg, right? The gravitational force is going to be the mass times this at r over 2. So it's going to be g m r over 2 times r cubed. And you'll see that cancels 2, but I have a 2. So it's half the gravitational field, half the gravitational force. And that's going to be equal to mv squared over r. But again, we have r over 2. So I have r 2. And now I want to solve for v. So solving for v, the mass cancels. I get v squared equals, I'm going to have divide both sides by 2. So I get v squared equals g m over 4 r squared. No, wait, over r, because that r is going to cancel with the other one. And so now I can calculate v. It's just going to be the square root of g m over 4r. So you'll see what happened here, right? I had a factor of 2 from the gravitational field inside the Earth, and then I had another factor of 2 because my radius of circular motion is smaller. So I get this, which is different than the orbital velocity at the surface of the Earth, which you would kind of expect. Okay. Now, just for fun, I'm going to show you a calculation in Python, and then we'll come back over here and calculate something else. Because what we did before, and I will link the video, you can go watch that video, is to verify this by making an Earth with 5,000 point masses inside of it. So those 5,000 point masses at any location, I can calculate the gravitational field due to those point masses and add them up. And we did get something very similar to that, right? We saw that the gravitational field as a function of r went like this, as linear, and then it went 1 over r squared. And it was kind of cool because we just used random numbers, and that was kind of cool. I thought it was cool. And then I took two masses right here, and that's the program I'm going to start with. This one was going with the velocity to orbit around, and this one tunneled through, and they got there at the same time on the other side. Let's start with that. And then what we're going to do is just take the tunnel mass, put it halfway, and give it its velocity that we calculate, and let it orbit inside the Earth. Gonna be great. Okay. So let's go over here to Python. This is the code. I copied the previous code. I'm going to go ahead and run it just so we can see what we're dealing with, and I'll tell you what it does. And if you want to know all the details, so there's 5,000 point masses right there. If you want to count them, you can count them. And this purple mass, the cyan, it's magenta, it's orbiting on the outside, you see. And this one's tunneling through. So this one has a non-constant gravitational force as it moves through. Let's just let it get to the other side so we can appreciate that it does indeed work. Rotate this around. You gotta run this code because it's just fun. Okay. Notice that it doesn't go completely straight through. There are imperfections in the distribution of masses that can cause it to go off. One of the things that they should get over at the same time, and they're pretty close. And every time you run it, it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so that's that program right there. It goes back and forth. See, it doesn't really make it right to the same spot, which is kind of funny, but good enough. I could modify this program such that if we get too close to one of these point masses, we just ignore the gravitational field, because that's the problem. You get these super high gravitational fields when you get near a point mass. All I'm going to do is to take that yellow ball and move it. Okay, so here's my code. I'm making a graph. That all makes the spheres. This defines the gravitational field. Ball 1 is the one that falls straight through. So all I'm going to do is to move it, right? I'm going to put it at r/2. That's easy to do. And then for this initial momentum, it's not going to be 0. It's going to have an initial velocity in the inside direction. I'm going to call this Vn, and I'm going to calculate that using my formula right there. Square root of g times m. Is that what I called the mass of the Earth? Yep, m. Divided by 4 times r. And then I'm going to give ball 1 that momentum with that velocity. So I'm going to put this in the y direction, Vn. That's it. Now let's just run it and see what happens. And then I think there's something we need to calculate after that. So there's my two objects orbiting. One's inside the Earth and one's outside of the Earth. And right away you should start seeing something like, wait, is that real? Because what do you notice? And I didn't do this on purpose. But what do you notice about the motion of these? They do not have the same velocity, right? There's a factor of 4 over here. But it looks like they have the same angular velocity. It looks like they would take the same time to orbit, which is kind of funny, right? Because if you drop it through a tunnel going through the center, it takes the same time to orbit as it does to go orbit on the surface. So these two look like they have the same angular velocity. And let's just check that mathematically in just a second. Notice that it's not a perfect circle on the inside. It kind of takes little detours. Outside's not perfect either, but it's way better because it never passes through a mass and gets an infinite. See here, you can see it's a non-circular, but still giving me a very good approximation. It doesn't run super fast because I have 5,000 point masses, and every time interval that I go through, I have to recalculate the gravitational field due to 5,000 masses twice, once for each one. So there you go. Okay, let's just go back to the board and see if we indeed do get the same angular velocity for these two. So here we are, right? We can actually calculate the angular velocity for the two. I'm going to use that same gravitational field. Let's just start with the interior ball right there. And I'm going to say G, M, I'm just going to write out the whole thing. G, M, R/2, R cubed. That's the force. And that's going to be equal to, I'm going to use the other version of the centripetal acceleration. This is mass, omega squared times r. In this case, r is r over 2. So this is the interior ball. So I'm going to call that 1. Mass cancels. That cancels. And then I have r cubed. But you'll notice right here, the 2 cancels. So I get omega 1 squared is g m over r cubed. Now, if I go on the outside, I have m g m over r squared, right? That's the gravitational force outside the Earth. And that's m omega 2 squared r. But again, mass cancels. That becomes cubed. Those 2's aren't there, but they canceled over here. So omega 2 is the same thing, g m over r cubed. So they orbit in the same, they have the same angular velocity, so they're going to take the same time to orbit. And I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't intend that. I didn't think about that beforehand. But that is where we are. So kind of cool. Now, would it work for any distance inside of there? Well, let's just say that, let's go back over here and say this is r over a, right? A fraction of r. So that'd be a, but then that would also be a. So it's going to cancel. So no matter where you are in the interior of this Earth, it's going to take the same time to orbit. I thought that was kind of cool. Accidental discovery from a problem I made. So there you go. Hope you enjoy that. I will put a link to the code with the double orbits down below, and then a link to my previous code on where I calculate those 5,000 points to calculate the gravitational field and do the tunnel thing. So you can have that if you want. If you have any questions, let me know. Talk to you later.